510 TV channels, comprising 197 general entertainment channels and 141 news channels. India's 14+ audience has never been more spoiled for choice. But there are just 17 channels to cater to the balanced 350 million children, representing 30% of the country's population.
In this country, unlike in many other parts of the world, is 90% of the homes almost are single TV homes. So when you have a large set in that particular direction, and then I'm sending a 24-hour channel which is directed only for kids, and prime time becomes a big issue about where the audience is going to move.
Apart from prime-time shows, there is a big content gap for programming for children in India. The root of this problem is the fact that foreign players, who are the largest players in the kids segment, are selling content created for other markets by dubbing them in English or Hindi.
Yes, it's making a grand entry on Pogo. This cat likes to snooze.
It all started in the late 90s when a handful of kids channels like Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon entered the Indian market. The acute scarcity of original indigenous content made them buy and telecast series from abroad.
7, 8, 9.
Animation is very easily adapted, so you could be watching Batman in India in Hindi, in Thailand in Thai, in the US in English. It doesn't feel at all like an imported program. It feels like a program that was made for you.
But viewers, particularly those in the older age bracket, like 14-year-old Subhadra Balakrishnan, don't quite agree.
I see serials and sometimes reality shows.
Subhadra's reaction is hardly surprising because content for Indian children is the same across all age groups.
Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do.
And that's the reason children contribute to a whole lot of viewership on general entertainment channels and not kids channels.
She's Mifa.
It's really important to understand what they want and not treat them all as one, because 4 to 8-year-olds are very different to 8 to 12-year-olds, and so within kids there are lots of segments, and one has to really be clear as to which segment one is targeting.
To be fair, channels like Cartoon Network are making an effort to put up exclusive Indian animation for Indian kids. But it is time-consuming and expensive. It takes about $25,000 to prepare one episode of a 26-part series for TV.
The time to create this content is phenomenally large, so people run out of patience. The budgets that are required for this content creation are pretty huge, so one needs to sustain that over a period of time, and also one needs to constantly understand that if it takes 4 years, the content shouldn't become old by the time it's getting created.
So what you have is reruns of the same program, which may not really be what children want to watch.
They have so much choice, and the level of loyalty can be small because they just want to move fast. So you really need to create engaging content which connects on a storyline platform so that they stick on to you.
You can't have a show where you talk down to kids. I think that doesn't work. Whether it's an Indian show or an American show or a French show, it doesn't matter. So you got to respect that audience. You got to engage them, with a certain amount of respect.
If there are not enough viewers, advertisers won't follow. And advertising revenue is critical because a majority of channels depend on ad revenues due to low subscriber revenues and high carriage fees per subscriber.
What is interesting is the power ratio of kids as a segment in television is one of the lowest. What I mean by the power ratio is the division of the viewership share divided by the advertising revenues gives you a power ratio, and you can see that Hindi commands the highest, followed by regional, followed by news, etc. So kids fall there, but it gives huge dimension.
They may not have the power ratio when it comes to TV, but what about new age media like the PlayStation and Xbox?
The challenge is that
as compared to other content or content available for other age segments. There is lesser content available. You also need to develop a lot of local IPs, and today India lacks content development skill sets.
Ditto with the oldest entertainment medium, films. While a few films like Bal Ganesh and Hanuman were a hit with Indian children, most animation films have left little or no impression on the box office.
If the children come to the theatre, practically the entire family comes to the theatre because the parents always come to the theatre. But while the parents go to the theatre, it is not necessary that the children will come with them to the theatre. So actually drawing children to the theatre is extremely important.
Since December, there were 3 films released exclusively for kids. Toonpur Ka Superhero, Kacha Limbu and Satrangi Parachute. And all of them have performed well below expectations.
Whilst every producer, every production house, every studio is keen and is developing stories and scripts for children movies, the economics haven't worked so far, unfortunately, which is sad.
One reason for that could be lack of imaginative content for this audience that would engage and involve them.
You should make movies that don't talk down to them, because today kids are very exposed. The minute they sense that you're talking down to them and you're treating them like in a manner that is even faintly condescending, they would not want to watch something that you're putting out. It needs to be at their level for them.
And last but not the least in any way is the print medium. Indian children are too fascinated with the silver screen to have any attraction for the written word. According to Cartoon Network's survey, only 38% children read a newspaper every day. Only 13% read storybooks daily. 9% enjoy comics on a daily basis, and only 4% go through a magazine every day. That's bad news for the 180 crore rupee children's publishing industry in India.
The biggest challenge for publishers in the kids space would be how do they get their wares in front of the customer, right? That is where the challenge is. The second challenge is actually on the creative front, which is because of the fact that very few children's companies in India are scaled out. There's not enough experimentation going on the creative front.
Which brings us to a rather sad turn in what should have been an exciting story. Consumers are waiting, but there's not enough of engaging content to serve them. Indeed, what the industry needs right now is a bit of magic.
One of these kids was telling me that he downloaded something where on a game he got extra points when the hero molested and raped women who were running away from him.
I think content creators, developers, application game developers need to establish their own protocols and, sort of align themselves to self-regulation.